Bonjour les étudiants and welcome to this video for week 20. Now at this point I'm assuming that I've already had Gemma, and if you're seeing this it's because I'm still out with her. Obviously I don't know because I'm doing this well ahead of time, but anyways, in this video is everything you need to know for week 20 or la semaine 20. So as always, if you have questions or need any help along the way, please feel free to email me. So without further ado, let's get started. Now first off, yes, I have a new GIF. I would like to say I'm really proud of this one. I'm just saying. Anyways, allez, take a moment to practice these guys just to make sure that you know them by heart. After all, we do have a quiz on them coming up, I believe next week in week 21. So take a moment to practice them and double check that you've gotten them right. Now the same goes for faire. We want to make sure that we know all of these as well. So take a moment to practice them too and double check your answers to make sure that you know them by heart. They're going to be part of next week's quiz as well. Now continuing on with our review, one of the things that's not going to be on a quiz anytime soon, though it will be in your project that you're going to do very soon, are les adjectifs possessifs. Now remember, these translate to my, yours, informal, his, hers, its, one's, ours, yours, the formal plural version, and their. So just to make sure that we remember our pronunciations, it's mon père, my father, ton père, your father, son père, his, hers, its, one's father, notre père, our father, votre père, your father, and leur père, their father. Feminine, we have ma mère, ta mère, sa mère, notre mère, votre mère, et leur mère. And then for plural, it's mes parents, tes parents, ses parents, nos parents, vos parents, le parent. Now, one of the most important things to remember about these, and this is what tends to trip people up, is that it has to do with the number and gender of the noun, not the person who possesses the thing or the person, but the noun. So mon père is always going to be mon if we're talking about my dad, because my dad is masculine. Doesn't matter that I'm a girl, mon is always going to be the one that we use. If it's mère, ma mère, it's always going to be feminine. It doesn't matter if it's my brother talking about our mom and he's saying my mom, it's still going to be ma mère. And if it's plural, like with parents, where we're talking about both parents, it's always going to be mes. Doesn't matter that I'm one person, it's mes parents. It's just like le, la, and les, or une, en une, they always are going to match the thing, the noun right here. So make sure that it matches your nouns. Like I said, this is the most tricky part of it, so that's why I want to make sure that you're very comfortable with that part. So remember, these adjectifs possessifs always have to do with the noun, not the person who owns or is possessing the thing that we're talking about. Now today we're also going to learn a couple of new things, and the first one is something a little mind-blowing. It's another one of our different kinds of verbs en français. Now with this one, we're just doing regular verbs, thank God. You can be very happy today. And these are verbs that end in RE, or in English, RE. There are a ton of regular verbs that end in this. And so a ton of them are going to follow the same pattern that I'm about to show you, which is super handy. So today we're going to talk about the word vendre, which is to sell something. So if you ever decide that you'd like to go on Etsy and sell all kinds of cool stuff, you're going to totally need to know these verbs. Or basically if you ever buy anything from anyone, you know, they sell it on Amazon. Now you'll know how to say it en français. So let's go ahead and take a look at each one of these. So first off, I'm going to say them, and you can repeat them after me. Then we'll talk about the endings a little bit, and then we'll try them again. So first off, we have je vends. Notice that you get to say the D. Tu vendes, il vend, nous vendons, vous vendez, il vend. Remember, we don't say the ENT. Now, one of the things that you're going to notice, actually, I think it's on the next slide. Yes, it is that the conjugations are similar to ER and ER verbs for the most part. Notice that nous, vous, and il, ici, see exactly the way that you would expect them to. We drop off the RE or RE at the very end, and they just behave themselves. And of course, Mr. 2, good old Mr. 2, he walks with his dog S. Now the easiest thing to remember is just like with the verbs that end in ER, EC, the first two are going to have the S's. The il one is going to be different. In this case, instead of having a T like ER, it's going to have nothing. So I don't know if that helps you remember it all. It always helped me though. So let's practice saying them again. So it's je vends, tu vendes, il vend, nous vendons, vous vendez, il vend. And there you go. Those are some conjugations to start learning and practicing. And like I said, these apply to the vast majority of the words that end in RE that you're going to come across. To continue with this idea though, there are a few that are similar that I want to show you real quick. And like I said, these are all nice and regular verbs. Thank God. Okay, so here's how to use some of them. And these are the ones that they talk about in the chapter. So first off, we have attendre, to wait. Think about like how a lady in waiting attends the queen or whatever. It's the same kind of word. So, par exemple, elle attend le dessert. She waits for dessert. Oh yeah. I should probably stop thinking about dessert right now. Okay, anyways. So next up we have descendre, which is to go down or to get off. So if you know, you're standing on the top of a chair and your mom's like, no, get down, it'd be like, descendre, get down. So there you go. Anyways, so par exemple, nous descendons de l'autobus. So we're getting off of the bus. Yes, they call it an autobus. Pourquoi? Je ne sais pas. Let's just go with it. Then we have entendre, which is to hear. Now this isn't to listen, which is écouter. It's entendre, it's to hear. So like I hear my cat. J'entends mon chat. So that's how you would use that. Then we have perdre, which is to lose or to waste. So, you know, lose your cat. Why do I keep using cat? I don't know, just because it's fun. So if I lost my cat, it's like, I don't know where he went, which is actually the case right now. I have no idea where he is in this house. I would say, je rends mon chat. I lost, or I'm sorry, je prendre my chat. I lost my cat. Now you can also use rendre, which is to give back or to return. So, par exemple, le commerçant rend la monnaie à le client. So, the storekeeper, this is what that means, gives or returns change. So this is the change, la monnaie, à le client, which is the customer. You can also use répondre à, and notice that you're going to use à, you talk to, you respond to, so that, yeah, it's to answer technically, but think about it's like respond to somebody. It's the easiest way to remember. Because you're going to do it at them. So, par exemple, je réponds à sa question. I'm answering his question. So notice that we have our à, ici, and then of course we have ça. Look at that. like we learned earlier, because question is feminine. So his question, sa question. See how that works? Pretty cool, right? They're everywhere. You're going to notice these a lot more than you used to. All right, now one other one I wanted to point out, and this is an important one, is rendre visite à. This is specifically to visit someone. Now, if you want to say that you're visiting a place or something like that, you're going to use visiter. So, par exemple, je rendre visite à mon ami. I'm visiting my friend, or I visit my friend. Now, if you're wanting to say that you're going to go see all of Paris's monuments, like Le Tour d'Eiffel and l'Arc de Triomphe and all those cool things, you would say, and you're with a bunch of tourists, it'd be les touristes visitent les monuments de Paris. So notice that you rendre visite à a person. So you visit at someone. Why we have the à, why it's à, je ne sais pas. Just go with me there. And then you visite or visiter a place. So that's one of those little nuanced things to remember, nothing to stress out about. But one of those things I want to make sure that you know about, so that way when you say stuff, you don't say weird things and people look at you funny. Ce chapitre is full of all kinds of new vocabulary, and this is all fun vocabulary. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about la maison. After all, if you're going to talk about la famille, your family, you might as well talk about your house too. So one of the things that you're going to notice on page sont vendus, which is this thing, ici, is that it has a list of all kinds of different places in your house. So even though you could look at that page by yourself, I want to make sure that you get to hear what each thing sounds like. And we're going to specifically look at this house. So first off, we have la chambre. You should remember this from before because, of course, we talked about different things that are dans la chambre. So la lit, which is ici, et la lampe, and all those cool things. So that is la chambre, the bedroom. Next off, of course, we have la salle de bain. So it's literally like the bathroom. You know, remember that word from like your swimming suit, swimsuits. Yeah, so same kind of thing. So everything we have in le bain, ici, and some of these terms we've already learned, like le lavabo, la toilette, le douche, which is not a bad word in French, all that fun stuff. So, la salle de bain. Next up, no, we don't know the word for laundry room, so we're going to skip that one. Instead, we're going to talk about this room ici. This is la salle de séjour, which is, of course, like a living room. You'll notice the word jour is in it. So, you know, you have like kind of like where you hang out during the day, if that makes sense. And all the fun things that have to do with that. And then we have, of course, a very important room, la cuisine, the kitchen. So, all the cool stuff that happens in the kitchen, c'est ici. Now, one room that you're going to notice is not in this picture, but is very important, and it's actually in the book, is la salle à manger, the dining room. So that's how you say it, la salle de manger. We also don't have it pictured in here, but we have things called le couloir, or couloir. So those are hallways, and in the picture in the book you see on chatte dans le couloir, because you know cats are like that, creeping around everywhere. Now a few other things they mention is le sous-sol, which is ici, le sous-sol, which is the basement. So not that we have many of those in Florida, but you know, gotta know what it is, right? And then of course, there's one thing that I want to make sure to point out to you that's a little bit different here in America than it is overseas. And that is this, you'll notice, is the ground floor. This floor is where you would come in. Don't ask me why the kitchen's on the second story. I have no idea. We're just going to go with it. But this is the ground floor. In French, whether you are in Canada or over in France, they would call it le rez-de-chaussée, which is literally the ground floor. Now, once you come up here, you're on le premier étage, the first floor. So you have the ground floor and then the first floor, which means that this is le deuxième étage, the second floor. Now, the fact that they do this is a little bit confusing, and actually a funny story that I'll say real quick is that when we were in Quebec visiting a few years ago, when we went, it was a little bit difficult to figure out what floor we were on because in American terms we were on the third floor, but whenever we went in the elevator we had to click on the second floor, and then you had to remember that the bottom floor was called le rez-de-chaussée because if I remember correctly, the letter on the button was actually R for rez-de-chaussée. So anyways, that's just one of those things that they do differently there. And I mean, it makes sense if you think about it, but just so that you're aware of what's going on. The last bit of vocabulary that they're going to talk about in this is les temps et les saisons. Les temps is the weather, and les saisons is, of course, the seasons. So go ahead and turn to page 123 in your vis-a-vis book, and we're going to read the different phrases that they have, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what it is that they say. So make sure you've turned there. If you haven't, go ahead and pause the video. All right, so the first picture we have au printemps chez les Belges. So au printemps is the spring, and chez les Belges, of course, is at the home of the people of Belgium. I can't think of what they are in English right now. Le temps est neigeux. Now, neigeux, if you look at the picture, you can tell that there are lots of clouds, and that's because the weather is cloudy. And il fait frais. Frais, in this case, means cool. It's nice and cool there. So it's cloudy, but it's cool. Next picture, on était chez les Martiniquois. So in, as you can see, summer, which is the season that we have the most, in the home of the people of Martinique, il fait beau. Obviously, it's beautiful. Il fait du soleil, which means that it's sunny. Or you can say il fait soleil. Either one's acceptable. And il fait chaud. You know what that means. It's hot. All right, next picture. En automne chez les Bretons. So in autumn, in the home of the Bretons, which is in France. Il pleut. It rains. Il fait mauvais, which is lovely to say because it means it's like bad out. It's nasty. Il tombe, or le temps est orageux. So it's stormy there. The weather is stormy, as you can see in the picture. And then the last one, en hiver, hiver of course being winter, chez les Québécois, which of course are the people of Quebec, il neige. I'll let you guess. Yes, it means it snows. Il fait froid, it's cold, and il fait du vent, it's windy. You can also say il vent or il y a du vent. Any of those are perfectly acceptable. So, just to go over everything real quick, here on the PowerPoint now, we have quel temps fait-il or il fait. Either way is perfectly acceptable. So what is the weather like? So, il fait, and then you can add certain adjectives like il fait chaud, il fait frais, il fait froid, il fait nuit, it's night, il fait jour, it's day, or il fait beau, it's beautiful. Now there are certain things that you do il y a, and then a name of different things. So, par exemple, il est neigeux, or I'm sorry, il est neige, it's cloudy. Il y a du soleil, it's sunny. Il y a une tornade, which happens sometimes this time of year. So there are tornadoes. Il y a un arc de ciel. So there's a rainbow. Il y a de l'orange, which is there's a storm. Il y a du vent. You know what that is. Il y a du brouillard, which is it's foggy, which is handy to know how to say. Il y a une tempête. Now, this is like the word for tempest, literally. Because you remember how I said that if you have the circumflex, sometimes there's an S in English that follows it. Well, this would be one of those cases. So if you put the S between the E and the T, then you end up with a tempest, which means that it's really, really messy outside. You can also do il, and then there are certain verbs that we have. So il pleut beaucoup en Floride, rains a lot down here. Il grêle, which is like sleet, definitely something we don't have down here. And il neige, which we like basically never have, which is of course snow. So these are some of the temps, and of course an introduction to les saisons. One other thing to note about the seasons, les saisons, is that printemps is masculine, and été, which is the summer, autumn, which is autumn, and hiver, which is winter, are all feminine. So just a quick note that's interesting. Don't ask me why the one is masculine, it just is. So anyways, quick overview of your temps et saisons. And as always with anything, if you have any questions or need any help along the way, just let me know. See you guys soon.